Okay. I already did part one and part two and part three and a combination, if you know your numbers, but I did it with my words in that order of cleanliness versus cultural values versus soul food. Even though I should add number four, I didn't get a chance to. Now, I am discombobulated because I hate having my first impression of starting off that way in three chapters of one small volume. But I'm still not going to stop until I put everything out the way I need to. So please bear with me and be patient with me on what I can provide for you when you can go by my words of my experience. Even of a model that I had to lose, a motto, Motto, a motto. I had to spell it out for you because backing it up when it comes to pronunciation is important. However, it is important that Black people have to take that seriously in the community, and even if that's all they can do, that's all they can do. I'm not wearing my red or my black shirt, and I'm only rocking two red shirts and a lot of black shirts, and that is the problem because it's all I got, especially starting off with clothes, and especially I had opportunities, and especially dealing with missed opportunities. But when you know how to beat the game 10 steps ahead, it's just you. Having to beat that game 10 steps ahead, not being trapped in that life of having something to go back to. Especially even though Black people believe it's time for a change. Where's that change gonna come from? That change says a lot, even though it's not professed out there enough. It's important to profess that and to, what's the word? Not provision. To put that out there. Having to deal with that, trying to air that out, and this is what I'm going through, and this is what I have to put up with. Even though I'm not ashamed of it. Even if I should be ashamed or embarrassed. First and foremost, embarrassed, then ashamed, then enlightened in a wonderful way possible. How I really talk. Because I don't really talk like that often, even when I should. I talk about it a lot. Even though I didn't get a chance to whip out my camera and record, especially not. It's like starting off on the first day of school with no pen and pad and paper. Pen, pad, and paper. That's the power of the P of having notes and looking through your notes and highlight PPPH. Excuse me. It's funny, even if it make me want to cry. And I did a lot of crying in my life of me making mistakes and having to care for the people that I care about, even if they care about me from a distance. I'm very poetic even though my poetic is hella chicken scratch, backing that shit up like that. Especially my game was like smooth, bent, cursive, not even some dope manuscript. And then my game started turning into chicken scratch. But my peeping people at their own game shows hell didn't turn into no chicken scratch like that. So don't get it twisted of howling and scratching around. When it come to that, I got 5 minutes on the clock. So overall, having to be a numbers woman and doing other types of jobs like working at the plant, because I'm from Detroit, Michigan. And it's a shame having to realize from looking at maps in school how to understand the maps. When it comes to the Michigan, we go by mittens and gloves in Michigan because it's shaped like a hand to the right other than to the left. It's shaped like a right hand mitten. And that's wonderful to understand because I was a part of my environment the way I was and the product of my environment and what I carry. So cleaning up after other people. I worked at a cleaning service for only a few months, less than 2 months, tops. If I looked at my resume, cleaning up for 2 months of trying to build that experience, not even having 5 years of experience. And they require that in jobs of having 3 to 5 years tops of experience, even when I tried to apply for housekeeping. And I worked at also the Quality Inn. I worked there and I was only there for a few days. It was tough having to clean up and housekeeping and making up the beds. It's so big, especially being overweight and being tired all the time. So I couldn't live there and work there at the same time, and they needed somebody, but it was only for a temporary amount of time. Having to clean up and make the beds, vacuum the floor or sweep the floor, rubbing it down, wiping down the tables, the nightstand, the dresser, and even the bathroom, and even the mirrors too. It should be easy, but having to be very detailed, and I was working way too hard trying to clean up, and even cleaning up about 46 to 65 rooms in that Quality Inn in that hotel. And there's only a certain amount of people where they have to clean up, and that was my experience. I even had another experience of trying to get a job, I believe, at another hotel, Sunset Inn. Don't get me in line if I don't have it correct in front of me. But they asked me, where can I start? And it was an experience where I'm mad. I turned it down because I had no way to get there because something always kept coming up, and that was the problem. I had all kind of things throwing me off. I had caught a ride by somebody, but I didn't have no way to get there unless I caught the SMART or the D-Dot bus. to get to the job, and that was no excuse. That was no excuse, even though I had other responsibilities I had to take care of and taking care of other people. Even then, it was a shame that I couldn't fulfill that job like I was supposed to, even though if it was not gonna be at that Quality Inn or Sunset Inn, it was somewhere else at another hotel far out in the opposite direction on the east side of Detroit, other than in Romulus. And that's not Detroit, that's Romulus. However, it's hard to try to commute when it comes to transportation, especially having to drive. Having to drive was not easy, other than starting off small and catching the bus. And it was not easy having to sit out there in the cold and have in the winter state, having to defrost and get to work, not even starting to clean and, do a quick warm up, then start to get to work. Because that's when you get too hot trying to clean up and you end up getting a burnout instead of a gentle warm up, especially standing in that bus stop in the weather for hours, waiting for the bus to come, especially perfect timing for that bus to come in the nick of time. So it's a shame it's in 12 minutes and counting. However, it is deep when it comes to trying to find ways on how to be a better product of my environment. And it hurts that I was running ragged like a chicken with my head cut off from all over town, especially in Flint, Michigan. So I've been to Flint, I've been to Romulus, I've been in Hamtramck, I've been in Detroit all my life, and I never lived in Highland Park before, so I would never know what that's like to live out there. So I only been in a small amount of places, especially working and commuting to other locations. Having to commute from the west to the east side of Detroit was rough, especially having to catch the bus. Not even saying I'm too good of catching a bus or I'm too cute to catch the bus. Just like even growing up, I grew up having to walk to school, but then when I transitioned, I ended up getting rides to school and walking to school. But walking home from school, I'm gonna tell you right now, was not easy, having to deal with other kids in school, having to walk home from school. So that's my experience, and I'm standing on business on that because that's what I went through, having to get transportation, and I couldn't depend on other people to take me to and from school. So learning how to walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. It's not easy, but it's easier said than done when it comes to walking and chewing bubble gum and knowing how to. And I be careful kicking them rocks. Walk, chew bubble gum, and kick rocks. Not even kicking a can. Not even walking, chewing bubble gum, and blowing leaves. Not even walking, chewing bubble gum, and drinking water. And people, and something in the midst is counting on me to put out that message. It's just, it was not easy being a Black woman where I'm from, having to always find an excuse or find a reason for everything, especially taking care of myself. Didn't have enough time to take care of myself like I was supposed to. Even making it up to 32 years and 9 months old. 32 years and 9 months. It's December, and my birthday is in March. I don't get to 33 until March. However, cleaning up after other people was complicated from learning from somebody else. And it was always something. Always. Knowing that that person needed help and taking honor in cleaning up. And this is from a cartoon television show that I thought about along my journey, and I tipped my hat to this woman because she was a Christian woman, or, of Christ, and she had a hard time, from what I can see in my peripheral vision, trying to clean up. And she had her good times and her bad times, but it was so overwhelming for her. It was so overwhelming for her that she was the only woman doing that by herself, and it was not too many people that was doing it. Having to be in so many places at once, and that's why I want y'all to bear with me, other than having to take that bare minimum with you. Not even leaving the bare minimum of what you came with. So it's deep. Even though it's hard to profess this message. So I'm going to say this before I wrap up. I really want to do better, and I want to do more, even in my lyrics and in how I speak to other people, and even on YouTube and social media, all of the above. Having the right formula, I don't know if I'm going to ever get that formula right. And it's hard to fix that formula, especially by what I say. Other than holding on grudges and holding all those burdens on me. So I'm getting this completely off my chest.